It's time we have the Brock Purdy debate. Is he a fraud? Is he not? Does he suck? This is the best debate on Brock Purdy on the internet right now. There's no copyright infringement intended. This is from Damon Bruce's channel. He's a radio host in the San Francisco Bay Area, massive fan. He follows the team. He follows the Warriors. This is two sides of the aisle. You have Nick Wright, who's the biggest Brock Purdy hater I've ever seen. And then you got the guy on the left who's just rubbing Brock Purdy's balls as much as he can. Let's just get straight into it.
Why has dumping on Brock Purdy, who's put up every data point that suggests he might be good at this, comes wrapped in a package that creates zero controversy, looks for zero attention, has a podium game that uses words like sir and mister and yes ma'am and no ma'am? How come this squeaky clean kid who's got more scrap in him just put up better numbers than Montana or Young or any quarterback that's ever come through quarterback U, that is the San Francisco 49ers? Why is dumping on one of the greatest stories we've ever been handed, a cottage industry, on your show?
I just want to say nobody really gives a shit about the podium stuff. People talk about it in the media all the time like it's a super important notion, when the matter of the fact is most people really don't give a shit. As long as you're not causing problems, we don't care. So we're already off on a bad side for Damon Bruce, in my opinion. Who gives a shit? We're just talking about football.
So here's the thing. I don't think I'm dumping on him. I think that saying Brock Purdy, who at best is the, let's call him 12th best player on his own team.
That's bullshit. You can't name 12 49ers better than Brock Purdy. That's a bullshit take.
League's most valuable player award. Not the Niners' most valuable player, which he isn't, but the league's most valuable player. That's not dumping on him. That is being level-headed. I have said, listen, he is better than I thought he was, because I thought he was going to be not playable, and now I think he is somewhere from the 14th to the 18th best starting quarterback in the league, either right at average, slightly above, or slightly below.
I agree with that somewhat. I'm going to start listing off quarterbacks and take awards, take everything out of it. And you say stop. Comment down below when you say stop on some quarterback that I name that you would not trade for Brock Purdy. You'd say, no, I don't want that guy. I want to keep Brock Purdy. And I'll say stop where I say stop. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins. And then after that, you got a bunch of maybes. So I don't know how many I named right there, but that's where I say stop, which is probably right around the 10 to 12 to 14 range. So I agree with Nick on that. He is. He's like an average to slightly above average quarterback. That's where I list him.
Somehow refusing to give him the credit that Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams have earned is dumping on him. It's not. Credit is not an infinite resource. There's only so much to give out. I'd prefer to
bullshit. There's unlimited credit to give out. That's a bullshit take.
Give it to the actual awesome players. That's all.
Well, how come Trey Lance, if Purdy is the most replaceable cog in this machine, how come no other cog has functioned quite like him with basically the exact same talent that you just talked about all around him?
And this is the part that is so bananas to me. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo take this team to the Super Bowl, and folks demanded tribute. They weren't calling him league MVP, but they're like, why won't you give Jimmy his respect? He is a 105 passer rating. Here's his EPA. Here's what he does well. Here's his historically great winning percentage. And then Jimmy left the cocoon of Kyle and this Niners team and immediately got benched. We also, it should be noted, saw Jimmy.
Couldn't agree more with this.
It was a very short period of time, but for 5 games with Christian McCaffrey. And he put up identical numbers to what Brock is doing right now. And nobody thinks that that Jimmy G's great. And so if if we had this argument about Jimmy Garoppolo for years, if Jimmy Garoppolo left the Niners and the Niners fell off and Jimmy was awesome, that would have been a great argument point for the Jimmy G supporters. Instead, the opposite happened. And instead of so many of the Jimmy G supporters being like, gosh darn it, I guess you guys were right, they have moved the goalpost to, no. It's not. It's actually just that Brock Purdy is Joe Montana 2.0. Like, so it's not giving a guy credit.
The comparisons to Joe Montana and Steve Young are bullshit. I know he's got numbers, but stop it. Eye test says he's not that guy.
He shouldn't be invited to an award ceremony for the 5 best players in the league this year.
But he put up one of the 5 best seasons in the league. And the starting point.
That's fair. He did do that. The
surrounding talent is not really calculated into the, obtuse what is real value. If we wanted to attach where value and the rubber really meet the road, I think salary should be involved. This is the single greatest value in the history of football if salary is involved.
That's fine. Dollar for dollar. Absolutely. And I'll give him that. But let me ask you this. How good's Tua?
It's pretty good.
I disagree. I think Tua sucks ass. I would take Brock Purdy over Tua. Tua is not, he is the most fair weather quarterback I might have ever seen in my entire life. I am not a Tua believer.
I mean, I'm not the one who's going to try to take anything away from him because he's got the right coach or he's got an unbelievable wide receiver who makes him look better than he really is. He's pretty good.
So I will. So this is where I don't think I'm unfair, because and you are not being unfair either, because some of my frustration has been folks seem to be totally comfortable saying, yeah, Tua's fine. And I'm not saying you're saying this. Tua's fine, but he's a product of the offense, Tyreek, the system, all of it,
and no
matter what the numbers are. But he's so glowingly about Brock Purdy rather than the other way around. Why is the media so obsessed with, oh my God, your quarterback won't get the credit? You know what Christian McCaffrey's story should be? That he's the best gosh darn running back in football. And instead it's like, man, you guys doubted Brock Purdy.
That is the story, though. No one's not saying he isn't. No one's not saying he isn't.
But he is asked more about Brock than he is asked about himself.
Well, because we talk about quarterbacks more than the depressed market of running backs. I mean, come on, you know how this.
That's not a fair point. Nick's wrong on that. They're going to ask questions about who's going to get the most views and who's going to get talked about the most. That's the only reason for that.
And what I am saying about the San Francisco 49ers is they have this amazing roster. Amazing guys who are either the best or one of the best at what they do, and a quarterback who's fine. And people want me to bend the knee and say, you know what, I was wrong. He's great. I don't believe that. And this is the other frustrating thing. I don't know that Niners fans believe.
But here's the thing. It sounds like you need him to be great in a situation that he is not in order for you to even acknowledge something's good here. Like, are you like Brock? Like, here's the thing. If you think that Patrick Mahomes has the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl this year, he doesn't. He's not that great.
So, okay. So this is where I feel like I'm the only.
No quarterback in NFL history could have taken that Carolina Panther team to the Super Bowl. I think this is a stupid route to go. I don't get this argument.
Sane person in the land of crazy people. In order to prop up Brock Purdy, we're going to try to tear down objectively great players. That doesn't make sense. Starting the year, I would have said he's probably one of the 5 worst quarterbacks in the league, and now I have him right around average. But who also crushes those blind reveals is Tua. But the problem is everyone is totally comfortable being honest about Tua, and for some reason people don't seem to want to be honest about Brock. And I am.
Well, I think I think we have a little draftism going on here. Like, just for a moment, imagine Brock Purdy were a first-round pick, a top 10 pick. I think that would color your argument greatly in his favor.
I disagree with that. I think your play says everything. I think if anything, that puts more pressure on him, and you'd be disappointed more in Brock Purdy if he was a top 10 draft pick. I think a guy that was drafted late, like Brock Purdy was, actually works in his favor to give him more credit, rather than if he was drafted in the first round. I think that's a bullshit argument as well.
Greatly in his favor. Yes, I'm telling you right now, he's a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, I'm telling you, I think that is batshit crazy.
Comment down below. I want to know, do you guys take Trevor Lawrence over Brock Purdy? I say yes. Trevor Lawrence is absolutely a better quarterback and has a higher ceiling than Brock Purdy right now. You cannot say otherwise.
The idea that, and I'm telling you this offseason, if Kyle Shanahan were told we can trade Brock for Trevor Lawrence, he does it in a heartbeat.
Oh, I don't think so.
And okay, well, we'll I guess
he absolutely does.
So I mean, that's again, unprovable unknown, but we'll see. I think that Brock was one Jordan Love drive away from not being guaranteed to be the starter next year. If Jordan completes that drive at the end of the Packer game, are you 100% confident Kyle isn't quietly calling Kirk Cousins this offseason? Because I'm not.
No, I am. See, and this is where
I agree with Nick on this too. I think if they lost to the Packers in that game, especially with how good Jordan Love looked and just how bad Brock Purdy has been in the early parts of these playoff games, I don't think you can deny without a shadow of a doubt that they're not at least shopping around. And I think the 49ers should trade Brock Purdy for somebody that's more proven, in my opinion. I think they should.
But you'd think that the fact that Brock Purdy has then won more playoff games than anyone 2 years into his career other than Ben Roethlisberger, and if he beats the Chiefs, they're both sitting at 5. I mean,
yeah, who's he tied with, Damon? Who's he tied with? Is he tied with Mark Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez is on that list. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm not, and it wouldn't be that he would be on the hot seat because of one bad playoff game. It would have been he's on the hot seat because every time the Niners would have lost this year, it would have been directly because the quarterback didn't play well.
Couldn't agree more.
All of the losses.
Well, but can you say that about every team? Can you say that about every team and every loss? Because I'll tell you right now, in the losses,
no, you can't.
To Minnesota. And then, boy, who did they play? Not the Cleveland loss. So Purdy did his job in the Cleveland loss. He got
that's the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard. Purdy
drives. He put him in position to make the field goal.
So wait. So in that game, so this is where people lose their mind about Brock Purdy. Did Brock Purdy play well in that Cleveland game?
He did not until the end. Just the same way, kind of against the Lions and the Packers, when it mattered most, got the job done.
Okay, but he didn't. So this is a weird thing. It's a weird thing we're doing.
Brock Purdy was supposed to make the field goal too?
No, but so that's a weird. So let's talk about the Cleveland game specifically for a moment. We all agree objectively he was awful until the final drive. I think he completed 40% of his passes. He had less than 150 yards in the game. We all agree. If I say on the first play of that final drive, he threw a gimme pick 6 that hit the defender in the chest and was dropped, you will say that's unfair. Who cares? It was dropped. But then you say, but he gets credit for a game-winning drive because a field goal was missed. Like, yes, a pick was dropped, a field goal was missed. They lost that game because the quarterback play was bad throughout.
Well, I would also say that
100% true. 100% true. And I hate it when people don't want to acknowledge how bad Brock Purdy has been through stretches of this year. There have been 4 or 5 games this year where he has looked absolutely fucking horrific.
They lost that game because the defense buckled and got gashed by, whoever was running against them. I mean, in the following other losses, the loss to Minnesota and the loss to Cincinnati, where everybody says, well, Brock threw those interceptions, and that's when the wheels started coming off. He also had in 2 games over 700 yards of total offense from just his legs and his arm too. He was not the weakest link in a team you said where he's maybe the 12th best guy on this offense.
Do you No, I didn't say on the offense. I said on the team. I think he is your 6th best offensive player. I think your offensive play, and that's the thing. I don't think you disagree. I think you would rank them: Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, or Debo, Ayuk, depending on who you prefer more of the two receivers, then Brock.
I disagree with that. I think Brock Purdy is the third best player on that offense. I think he's third. I don't think you would take Ayuk over him. I don't think you would take Kittle over him. Maybe he's fourth, but he's definitely not the sixth.
And maybe Juszczyk could get a shout out, but he's fullback. It's such an unimportant position, even though in Kyle's offense, super important. Do you disagree with that hierarchy? I don't think you do.
I'd put him third. I would put him behind already established first ballot, no question to talk about Trent Williams.
Right. It makes him even more
limited. But boy, he keeps on hitting these wide open targets everywhere he looks. And he makes the tight window throws. And he does it underneath. And he does it over the top. And he did it over the top measurably better than any other quarterback. I mean, this label of he's dink and dunk and lucky to be here is just absurd. And
no, I didn't say he's dink and dunk. He was dink and dunk last year. He's not this year.
If you could see everything, and I understand you got to pay attention to the entire league. You probably didn't watch many 49er games, every snap, every game. You can't. You're covering the entire NFL. I wish you would use our friendship to call me. Just say, Damon, what are we looking at here? Is this a guy I should pile on as ain't real, or is there something more to it? I'll tell you right now, I can't measure it, Nick. I can't explain it. Intangibles by definition are impossible to measure. This kid has just a something in him that the reason why at that press conference that bothered you, well, Christian, why does Christian McCaffrey?
When you start getting into intangibles and the things you can't prove, I feel like this when you start losing an argument. I have Brock Purdy somewhere between 12th and 14th best quarterback in the NFL, right around average, slightly above average right now. Does he have the potential to get above that? 100%. That's where I'm at. Comment down below where you have him. Did he deserve to be in the MVP running? I don't think he did. Does he deserve to be a top 7 quarterback in the NFL? I disagree with that. Does he deserve a massive contract? I say absolutely not. I think the 49ers should look into trading him with maybe a pick to try to get a better quarterback in there. That's where I stand on Brock Purdy. Is he bad? Absolutely not. But I do think everyone needs to pump the brakes that has him in comparisons with, you know, Joe Montana and Steve Young. Let's relax a little bit. He's not that guy. That's where I stand. Let me know what you guys think. Please comment down below. Please like and subscribe. It is the best way to support my page. It is 100% free. And I will see you guys in the next one.